Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk to you about, well, I'll start off by, I wasn't really going to do a video today, but it's just like just not feeling emotionally well enough to do any videos. The last couple of days have been really hard for me. So I was watching just regular videos, and I saw some babies, and I saw this video where well, actually there was a couple of videos. The first one I watched was just it was a video where, and this video went viral, and it was a baby that was a toddler, and he was being attacked by a dog, one of the neighbor's dogs, and his cat ran out and fought the dog off. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then I was watching another video where a cat found a baby that was thrown in a near a garbage can in a box, and the cat sat down with the baby and tried to keep the baby warm, and then was meowing for a human to come to save the baby. So that was kind of interesting. And then I saw a video where a dog found a baby and was carrying the baby, a newborn baby that was discarded. It was a little white baby. And the dog rescued the baby and was carrying it to humans, and it was holding it in its mouth. But, there was no puncture marks or anything like that. And I was like, wow. And it just like dawned on me that these animals express such empathy and so much more empathy than white people show towards Black people. And then I started to wonder, like, how can they watch all these videos about or movies about Black people being brutalized and hung, and it's all over the social media of them killing Black people, and these white supremacist cops executing Black people. And white people can see these videos, and they see the brutality and the violence, and they feel no empathy, none. Like, it doesn't bother their psyche. And then I was thinking, well, gosh, are they born with the lack of empathy? And then I was thinking, because my background is in child development and early childhood education, and I have a bachelor's degree in social science. And so I've been around a lot of kids of all races, and a lot of the younger ones don't show any empathy. Me and one of my sisters, she's a year younger than myself, and we had we were both teaching in the same preschool. So we had the same class where we actually just ran this class with just her and I. And it was in Seattle in one of the colleges. And some of the Albinoid children were very, very violent. And their violence excites them. And there's one particular boy that was very cute. He was very cute, and but he was very violent. And one time he attacked another student, and he was choking her. And so I pulled him to the side, and I got down to his level, and I explained to him that you can't do this. Like, why are you hitting your friends? and he got really excited, and his eyes were big, and he was like, I choked her. And he, he put his little hands together, and his eyes were big, and he's so excited, and he's like, I choked her, and he's making the motions, and it was very frightening, like the excitement that this violence brought to him. And a lot of the other kids were pretty, violent too. And even when they weren't the ones that were doing the violence, they were very desensitized to it. It didn't seem to bother them or their parents. And that was something that me and my sister still talk about today, is the fact that none of this violence seemed to bother their parents. It was just, even when we were talking to one of the parents, and another one of the children knocked their daughter in the head with something, and me and my sister looked at each other, and not a response at all. There was like nothing. Anyway, so I was just like, okay, that's kind of crazy. But going back to today, I was just wondering, like, do white people, I know they lack empathy for Black people. I don't think that they have any empathy towards our struggles or the violence that they demonstrated, and the attacks and the terrorism that they inflicted upon Black people, and not just stuff that happened in the past, but things that are done today. And movies that are shown today. And I think of, like, how can you sit there and watch and enjoy and eat popcorn and drink soda while you're watching Black people be lynched and burned, and just be okay with that? And so, there is a couple of there's something that I read, because I looked this up, because I was really wondering, where this lack of empathy was coming from. And there's two, there was this, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I will put this, the link into the description box in case you want to read it. Oh, and I just really went past where I wanted to read, because there is just this little part. So I'll just read it right here. It says, one reason it's difficult for any person to truly empathize with another human being, let alone millions of people, is that empathy requires questioning one's reality. And when I read this first part, I don't believe that. I think Black people have tremendous empathy for other people. I think if we could separate ourselves from the white race, then we would be able to stand up to them. But the empathy level that we can put ourselves in any other person's situation, and feel pain and feel an understanding of what they're going through, I think Black people definitely have that. But I think this is definitely talking about white people. So one reason it's difficult for any person to truly empathize with another human being, let alone with millions of people, is that empathy requires questioning one's reality. If I put myself completely in the shoes of Trayvon Martin or Michael Brown, or even a Black man denied the opportunity to board a taxi cab, I must accept the reality that my world and my America isn't their world and their America. So, I've talked to white people and tried, even, my ex-husband, for instance, and trying to explain my reality when I walk outside, or, you know, his biracial daughter's reality when she walks in a store, and how that it would differ, her experience or my experience will differ from his, and they truly don't have the ability to put themselves in that situation, to separate their reality and their experiences from what his daughter would experience, or I would experience. I must also question certain principles that ease my mind, like racism in America is non-existent. White people love to say that. They love to say, you know, slavery ended and racism doesn't exist, and that America is, you know, full of equality, and, you know, the Black people have the same opportunities as their white counterparts, even though, you know, studies show that that's not true. And, you know, you can look up, you know, job statistics and pay rates and all of that stuff to show that it's not true. But that's what they want to feel. That's what allows them to just go on. At least that's what they say. Honestly, I don't think that they actually truly believe that racism doesn't exist. I believe the majority of white people know that they themselves perpetuate racism and discrimination. Okay, so I must also question certain principles that ease my mind, like racism in America is non-existent, or that my legal system applies to everyone equally and justly. Which, if you believe that, then clearly you just have your head stuck in the sand. Okay, no one truly believes that. For many citizens, especially certain white conservative voters, such empathy would lead to an emphasis on questioning their status quo. And doing so might also mean facing the prospect that our nation being less exceptional. Another reason for such lack of empathy is the empathy, and this is the thing, like, they know they're talking about white people. I don't know who wrote, this is the Huffington Post. And so they're just not saying white people, but clearly this is talking about white people. Another reason for the lack of empathy is that empathy inevitably leads to a myriad of unsavory emotions. With empathy comes responsibility and culpability, self-reflection, sometimes guilt. And that's why they like to cry this whole white guilt thing, which does not exist. So please don't let any white person talk to you about white guilt. It's like Santa Claus. It just doesn't exist. Oftentimes anger, and almost always a certain amount of regret, especially if I voted for laws and supported political systems where racial disparities, my eyes are not working, contradict ideals contradict ideals that are dear to your heart. Then there are issues of simply surviving daily life without the burden of thinking about other Americans' pain, especially if, like many Americans, you struggle just to keep your marriage intact, or your kids in college, or simply live daily lives. You know this is written by a white person, because they couldn't even write this without saying, poor me, I have all my own issues, you know, I'm trying to keep my marriage together. Who cares if you're, you know, getting shot and killed by these rogue white supremacist cops? You know, I can't be bothered by that because I need to make sure my kid goes to Harvard. Anyways, so that's all I wanted to read on that one. But you know, this is written by a white person, and they don't have the level of empathy that we have. They not only do they not have it, but they they're telling you that if I did notice these certain things, I don't want to be stressed out about it, and I don't want to be obligated to deal with it because I have my own simple issues. And so you burying your child prematurely, I can't be bothered by that. That's not my problem. Yes, I live on this land that was owned by my great-great-grandparents who were slave owners, and yes, we enslaved your ancestors, and we are living and we're living on the backs of your ancestors. But you know what? Oh well. And that's true. That's how they feel. That's how they think. And even when they have biracial children, though many people believe and are pushing this whole swirling thing and saying that, if there's a mixed person in their family, then that will change how they think, because it'll be more personal. That doesn't. They can have a mixed daughter or a mixed son, and it won't change their racist views, and it doesn't make them have empathy, not even regarding that actual child's struggles and the stuff that they're going to have to deal with in life. They still don't care, because I really think unless it completely and directly affects that white person, they don't care. They don't feel the empathy. They don't feel guilt. They don't feel any kind of responsibility to end any kind of racism. It's not in them. And so, I need to drink some water. Let me close this out because I don't want to get copyright infringement for having that up too long. So hopefully I won't. But when we look at trying to convert, and I just, I say this, don't really buy into this phrase that I'm going to say, but I feel like a lot of Black people think that they can convert white people into being civilized human beings and to feeling empathy and to caring about how the world affects everyone and not just themselves. And, that's not going to happen. And I can show you on so many different personal levels of being around white people and being married to a white person and, having a child by a white person. And the one I married is different than the one I had a child with. Their mindset is their mindset. It doesn't change. And my son's dad doesn't understand, the struggles of what my son is going to face. And he doesn't think about it, and he doesn't do anything to try to end, white supremacist terrorism. If a Black child is when Trayvon Martin was killed, that didn't affect my son's dad whatsoever. It didn't make him afraid that something might happen to his son, or say, oh, I need to make a stance to, end this white supremacist terrorism. It didn't make my son's grandparents say, oh, let me make a stand. Let me talk to my friends and talk to my relatives about what we can do to help end this police brutality and the targeting of young Black men, even though they have two biracial grandsons, and two granddaughters that are biracial. But none of this made them take a stand and say, this is not right. They may in their heads believe that, they're not racist and that they're, that they have their grandchildren's best interests at heart. But them looking at them as Black individuals, it's not. it doesn't make them feel more like they should be doing something to change America. Like nothing. And so those connections that we are hoping are there when we're thinking of having more biracial children to somehow save the Black race or make these white people not racist. It's just that theory is asinine. Like there's nothing backing it. It doesn't change the mindset of white people. It doesn't. And we want them to have empathy. We want them to so badly because we have it, and we can't understand how it would feel to not care about whether, you know, a child is being discriminated against, or a child is being kicked out of school for looking at a white girl. Like, you would, if white people had empathy, all of them in that school would be up in arms about a situation like that. Like, how dare you? But no, that teacher was backed by the principal to suspend that young Black boy for looking at a white girl. So not only did the parents of the daughter didn't come out and say this is wrong, the white teacher didn't say this is wrong, and the white principal didn't say this is wrong. So you had 3 different groups of white people that had no empathy for this Black child. And yet somehow in some of our brains, we think that if we procreate with them and the child is related to them, they will care. Well, let me bring it to your attention that to white people, when they see a mixed child, they see a Black child. I don't care how light-skinned that child is. When they see my son and categorize my son, they see him as a Black person. That is it. They don't think about, oh, well, let's think, well, you know, this kid's dad is white, which makes his grandfather white, and his grandmother is white, so let's give him some white privilege. It doesn't work like that. And they don't say, well, let's, you know, not suspend the white side of the child, or, you know, let's not discriminate against the white side. That doesn't happen. Like, it doesn't happen. And they don't gain empathy because the child is half white. Like, sadly, that does not happen. There is this like video that I want to share, so I'm gonna find it and just share a little bit of it. That is not it. Oh, I think this is it. I think I have too much stuff up. Okay, so I'm going to share just a little bit of this video, because again, I'm really not trying to get any more,
Because you got to understand, the lynchings that occurred in America happened after slavery, not during. Thousands of lynchings happened after slavery, because this is a reaction to white fear of what we would do.
And I want to show you guys,
but we didn't.
Really quick, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so on this picture here, you see a little white girl, a white man, and some other white people standing around watching someone die. Okay, do you really think if they had any kind of empathy or even any humanity, they would be able to stand around and watch this with glee on their face, with just like, this is just good? I saw another one that it wasn't with her, so I don't know exactly where, and I wish I could find it, but there was a picture of white people standing around watching while they're lynching a child, and reading their Bible. So let's listen. I'll listen to a little bit more of her, and then we're going to.
Thousands of lynchings happened after slavery, because this is a reaction to white fear of what we would do once free. But we didn't create a vigilante group to take out white people.
And that was a problem. We should have done that. And that is why in 2017, they're still killing unarmed Black men. Modern day lynching, they're still lynching. They're still doing the same thing because I think they're still waiting. They're still thinking, what the hell is wrong with these Black people? We can continuously kill them and they still haven't done anything about it. So they're still doing that, and they're going to continue to do it because they're still waiting and wondering, because in their mind, they're like, I would have done this, and I would have, just ran through neighborhoods, torching houses and snatching up children. They know what they would have done. Okay? And so they're wondering, why aren't Black people doing this? They're wondering, and they're wondering because they don't have empathy. They're saying, I would have killed their babies because they had been killing our babies. They're thinking, there's no means that I wouldn't have gone to. So why are these Black people still not doing anything? Let's listen a little bit more.
But they did create a vigilante group to take us out now that we're free. See, that happened after slavery. They were called the what?
The KKK?
The Ku Klux Klan. They don't wear hoods anymore. They wear suits.
Exactly.
But they're alive and well all over the world.
All over.
Even here. So, look at who's in the picture. I want you to look at this little girl in particular. You can't see her closely, but she's actually grimacing, like smirking. Now, remember, let's go back to the puppy concept here.
I'm going to be done with hers because, again, I don't want to get in trouble for using people's stuff. But I will put, I hope I did not close that down. I didn't. Okay, because I'm going to put the links to those in the description box so you guys can watch them. And I really would suggest that you do. And so what she was talking about the puppy thing, she started off by asking, if she brought up a puppy and stomped the life out of the puppy, how other people would feel and react to that. As we know, if I killed a puppy, I would get more time than if I killed a Black child. And we've seen that with Michael, I don't know his last name, but the guy that had the pit bulls fighting and how he got like a ridiculous amount of time. And then you can search all kinds of records of, you don't even need to search. We all know that these murderous terrorists that killed majority of these Black people, they got no time. None of them got arrested. They got a 2-week paid vacation. So they can feel empathy. White people can, in fact, feel empathy, just not when it regards to you and me and our children. And so creating mixed children doesn't go into their head and make them feel empathy. They're not going to. It doesn't matter. Like, honestly, if you ask me, honest feeling, I don't think that they feel empathy towards each other. I don't think that they have the ability to actually love each other and feel empathy towards each other. I think they have a togetherness and a white power ship, and society tells them that this is what you should do. You have a kid, you raise your kid, you do this, da, 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 da. But if you look into their background and their interactions with each other, you'll see the same stuff: child molestation, child rape, extreme domestic violence, domestic killing. You'll see all of that in just regular white relationships. And again, I always go back to, the extreme white on white crime that is an epidemic, and it's everywhere globally. And the Holocaust, that was white on white crime. That's them looking at people that look just like them and killing them, and without any care and without any empathy. If white people are left alone with each other, they're going to kill each other. So I don't think that they have this, superior empathy for each other. I think that they don't have it at all. I think that there's something psychologically or even soulfully missing in the white race that doesn't have any love or empathy or the ability to feel those things. They certainly don't feel it for Black people. I don't think that this is something that they can learn. I don't think you learn empathy. I know that you do not learn empathy. And I know from working with young children that you are born with empathy. Either you have it or you don't. There are children that are very empathetic. They will go up and hug a baby if it's crying. You see this in melanated children all across the board. I always see that. And you just don't see it in the albinoids, and that's nothing that I'm doing. I mean, I can't take responsibility for their lack of empathy. And I know some are, will get offended, and they're very offended when you call them out on their actions and stuff. They definitely have that. They have that. I'm offended, and how dare you? But this is something that they need to look at if they want to, because I think, they have this idea, and I think this is mainstream white people. I know that it's not the higher up white people or the educated ones or the ones that have a lot of money. They don't believe this. They know that it's not true. But I think this mainstream white people that have this idea that, oh, if we just got rid of Black people and we just got rid of Mexicans and all the brown people, then we would be happy and we would be all rich and living this lovely existence. Now, the educated, well-off white people that are actually running stuff know that this is not true. Know that us leaving would actually sign their demise. They would cease to exist if we were gone. And that is why when they ended slavery, which we all know they did not end, they just rearranged and opened sweatshops, and now we have slaves prisons, and that prison system is the new slavery. But the people that have the money and the power, if they even felt for in the least bit that they could survive without Black people, they would be doing that. Like, we would either have been all killed, because they've shown you that they have no problem with killing not just Black people, but white people. They don't care. They have no problem with putting people in concentration camps and gassing them, or hanging or lynching or shooting. They have no problem with killing Black people. So they would have either killed us all or sent us all back to Africa, which they love to say. Go back to Africa, but we all know that we would be there already if they could live without us. So now they have to, this mainstream white people, they can't. What can they do? Well, if they're cops, they can just kill Black people. That's just what they do, and they can discriminate, and they just continue to torment and torture and terrorize. And right now, that's what we're dealing with. We have to deal with their white supremacist terrorism, and we need to figure out a way to eradicate that, because no one should live in constant terrorism like Black people are doing. And then we wonder, then they want to cry and say, well, Black people have all these issues. Well, yeah, Black people are if you're 5 and you don't have PTSD from living in a system of white supremacist terrorism, then you've learned somehow how to shut your brain up. But majority of Black people have PTSD from dealing with constant white supremacist terrorism, and it's global, and we know there's no escape. And that's the mind torture, when you are looking and trying to figure out an escape from this terrorist situation, and you can't think of one. So you're just trapped, and you know, we have to figure out a way out of this. We really do. Anyways, I'm going to end on that note, and I do want to thank everyone who supported me on the Patreon account. Like, I don't really even want to ask for support. I do want to do these videos. I think it's very, very, very important for us to get this information out. So I would love to just ask you guys if you could share these videos, even if it's not monetized. Share the video. I want these videos to be out there. The more information that is available to the Black community, the better. The more people see these videos and wake up from the delusion of white superiority, we will be better off, and that's my goal. And I thank you guys for watching these videos and for sharing them, and please like and comment and subscribe, and have a good day. Thank you.